Yo, what's up guys? Insane Game Freak here to bring you my game review of Batman Arkham City for the PlayStation 3, Xbox 360, and also the PC. Let's get into it. So Batman Arkham City is essentially the sequel to the pretty well received and really freaking favorited Batman Arkham Asylum game. This game takes, I guess, almost exactly right, well, probably like a few months after, about a few months after Arkham Asylum does. The whole premise of this game is essentially you have this whole big facility called Arkham City, which is ran by Hugo Strange. The reasoning, where Arkham City essentially is essentially Arkham Asylum moved into this area in the middle of Gotham City in like this enclosed space. Now, the whole premise of the game is essentially you have Bruce Wayne, he's giving a speech about Arkham City or kind of a press conference, and all of a sudden he's arrested and he's thrown into Arkham City himself. And he has no freaking idea why. We come out to find out later that Hugo Strange now knows that Bruce Wayne and Batman are the same guy, in which case that would explain why Bruce Wayne is in there. Actually, wait a minute. We're playing as Bruce Wayne at the beginning of the game? Madness. Pure madness. So yes, for once we actually do get to play as Bruce Wayne at the beginning of the game, but that kind of doesn't live that long considering, you can't walk around this place as Bruce Wayne kicking everybody's ass, that would be ridiculous, and, secret identity is still, a big issue here. So anyways, he has outfits in like a little bat thing that has his costume in it, and you are now the Dark Knight himself, Batman. And your goal is to go around Arkham City, stop Hugo Strange, and something you're going to hear him blather about many fucking times throughout this entire goddamn game. Protocol 10. And when you actually get to see Protocol 10, you do. And what is it? Not gonna tell. So essentially, if you're wondering in terms of game mechanics, it's essentially the same thing as Arkham Asylum in the sense that you're still playing as Batman. He has virtually almost all of the same gadgets with a couple of new ones. The control wasn't really a problem in the first game, but they have tweaked some things, kind of just polished what they already had for Batman, on top of giving him some new weapons and new abilities. To go over the new weapons list, you have first the Disruptor, which is used to disrupt, let's just say, it's going to be necessary for certain fights, and it's used to kind of disrupt the mechanical operations of certain things. No, it's not the decoder that you use to, unlock locked doors. It's used on a different scale. The next thing you have is the remote electrical charge gun, where essentially you can shoot it at electrical objects in order to either push or pull in terms of electrical charges, which you can use to pull to open up doors, to have mechanical cranes push backwards or forward, or you can just fuck with enemies because you're fucking bored. One of the new additions to his arsenal is the freeze grenade, which is essentially what it sounds like. You throw it and it freezes the enemy. Now, in terms of the game aesthetic, this game is fucking huge. Compared to Arkham Asylum, Arkham City makes that look like a fucking PlayPal pen. It's fucking ridiculous. The city is huge, and you will often find yourself getting lost or not knowing where to go. Oh wait, that's right, there's a fucking thing at the top of the screen that tells you where you go when you have your destination set. Luckily, also you also have a map function to get through areas. So essentially, you're going through the paces, trying to stop Hugo Strange and learning out different things. Now, one of the things I will also mention to you guys is that you do see the Joker in the game. Actually, you see the Joker at the beginning of the game. To explain the whole Joker scenario, because this becomes the second portion of your friggin' mission at Arkham City, is not only to stop Hugo Strange, but friggin' Joker manages, through some clever planning, manages to get his blood transfused into you. And you're wondering, well, what's the big issue about that? Well, if you remember from Arkham City, when he turned into like a Titan Joker monster that you had to beat up, even though he played almost essentially like the Titan fight, but a little bit different, that fucked up his blood immensely, and it was essentially the formula kind of backfired and started to kind of kill him, essentially. In this game, the Joker is dying, which explains his fucked up appearance in the entire goddamn game. Essentially, because he's dying, he's trying to find a cure, which will lead you to run into multiple enemies known as like Mr. Freeze or the Penguin. Him transfusing your blood into you now makes you have to do these things for him. or else you die along with them. On top of that, he's also transfused his blood into a whole mess of hospitals that can kill roughly over 2,000 fucking people because of how many hospitals he's thrown that bitch in. So you now have to find the cure for you, the Joker, and all the people he's probably infected by this point. And this is where the game gets gritty, because that mission, along with the Hugo Strange stuff, leads you everywhere. Now to go down the villain roster. I'm not going to tell you everybody, but let's just give you the basics. The first few people you're going to run across is Penguin, Two-Face, it's the Freeze, Catwoman, even though you get to play as her, and I will go over that in a second. On top of all of that, Ra's al Ghul, Talia al Ghul, and let's just say there's a couple other characters that have some references to other superhero franchises, and then on top of that, there's a couple surprise bosses that leads into a plot twist in the game that I really would not rather spoil for you. But I will give you a hint to one of the bosses. I was born on Monday. So, getting back into the gameplay, let's explain that for a second. Essentially, it's your typical, as I said, the gameplay is very simple, the Arkham Asylum, in the sense that you're doing almost the same thing. You'll be in buildings where you're having to, swing from gargoyle to gargoyle to, stop bad guys from shooting at you because you can't let them see you. But honestly, the AI has been greatly improved, and the game is actually somewhat of a challenge now. This being due to a lot of extra things they kind of use to beef up the little thugs. For example, some of the thugs now have armor on them, which means you have to use certain combos. Yes, the combo system has been jacked the flying fuck up. You can do a lot more. It's a lot more fun, and the things you have to do for certain enemies has gotten really enjoyable. So, as I said, there are certain thugs that have the armor, which you have to, there's a combo you have to use to break that down. On top of that, you have the freaking thugs that hold up car doors to kind of block you, which you now have to use a combo to stop that down. On top of that, you have the people, the basic firearm. And as I said, the AI has improved, so at least, you just jump into a gargoyle like 1 or 2 times. It's going to stop these guys from shooting at you. You actually have to make the conscious effort to know and keep fucking going. You will get killed that way. On top of that, they gave the gun mooks a little bit more on top of that. They have these new scanner devices which allows them to actually scan gargoyles. In which case, they can see you up there now. And that's when this gets tricky. The game becomes less about, knowing which ones to spam and learning different ways to take down enemies. This game kind of encourages you to go out and to find new ways to do things instead of just re-spamming the same shit like you did in the first game. The biggest problem with the first game, on top of the bosses, was the fact that most of the gameplay got repetitive because you were doing essentially the same thing. You didn't have to worry about finding new ways to take down enemies because enemies were usually taken down the same old way. Titan fights in just regular mooks. You either beat the crap out of them using the awesome combo system that still is present in this game, or you just kept using the swing the gargoyle trick, drop down, punch him in the face, go up there and swing 2 gargoyles and hide up there. The game, in terms of expansiveness for the game is huge, as I said before, but the main chunk of the game is, I want you to know this right now, the story isn't the main focus of the game in terms of how much shit you can do. And what I mean by that is that the story is only like maybe 1/3 of the game at the most. The other 2/3 of the game is literally taken up by a whole bunch of side missions and freaking Riddler quests. There's a lot of shit you can do in the game. A lot of shit. Beating the game also unlocks something called Game Plus, which is essentially the hard mode of Batman Arkham City. And as I said, for the story, there's some huge plot twists in the end of it, and this game gets a lot of praise for one obvious reason. It had the biggest balls and did one of the few things you wouldn't expect them to do in Batman mythos, and it actually stayed canon, I'll say that much, at least in this particular game. Now, I've already mentioned that you can play as Batman. You can also play as Nightwing and get the challenges map depending on where you pre-order it from, or as DLC when it actually becomes available. As of right now, as I'm making the review, it's not available. You also get to play as Catwoman. Catwoman's gameplay happens around the same time as Batman's gameplay. It's just that she has like her story subsections. Usually when Batman's in a weird position, somewhere in the story where the story allows it, you'll end up playing as Catwoman for a little section and then you'll go cut back to the Batman. Now, as much as they market Catwoman, I have to say, you don't really play as her that much. You play with her like 4 times in the game. And the 4th time is after the game is over, mind you. Which is and that whole thing kind of leads into why she's still in Arkham City. Because as I said, beating the game isn't it. You're gonna keep going back into this game ridiculous, not for the story. So obviously they had to come up with a bullshit reason to keep Catwoman in here, which you'll deal with when you play the game. Now, Catwoman's gameplay is almost essentially like Batman's. That her setup and controls are different, but they didn't make her so stiff of a character that you couldn't tell the difference in terms of her fighting style and what she could not do. For example, you know how Batman can zip line to freaking different buildings with his Batclaw? Well, she has her whip, and on top of that, they gave her the extra aesthetic that she can actually climb walls where you have to press the X button. Well, I'm playing the PS3. You have to press the X button to, you know, get to certain points, and you can actually do like the good and perfect thing because it's like time dot radars and shit. You can fall if you don't hit these, mind you, but it won't penalize you if you get it too early or too late. On top of that, her fighting styles are vastly different from Batman in the sense that she's more agile, more flexible. So all her attacks don't come from just I'm a man. Punch with fists. Because she's a girl and she's more flexible in the whole Catwoman thing, she can go around kicking the shit out of enemies, and she actually uses a lot of more kicks. She's more flexible. She'll do cartwheels while going into combos and shit. And she, you know what? And just to cut the bullshit, Rocksteady, I love what you do with character models, but god damn it, I will say one of the most distracting things when I'm fighting a bad guy is when her ass is always in the camera. Why would you make me so distracted? Damn yo awesome model sculpting Rocksteady. Damn it. So you probably think with all of this, what's her downside? Well, the difference between her and Batman is essentially that Batman has more power behind him, and yeah, that's about it though. She's faster than Batman, but she's just not as strong. In which case, if you're not used to that, I swear, when you first play as her, you're probably going to die just from the goddamn curve you're going to get thrown when you realize you're going to hit this dude 3 times and this nigga isn't out already. Yeah, I've died many times from that, honestly. Not a fun experience. Final thoughts. Batman Arkham City is a must-have. If you played the first game, play the second game. The second game is totally worth the time and the money and the effort because you get one of the most rewarding gaming experiences and one of the better and probably one of the best sequels I've seen in a while. It's a game that's not just good as a superhero game, but it's also good just as a game in general, which a lot of superhero games have that problem. On top of the fact that a lot of superhero games are stuck in that little licensing trap where you get like a whole bunch of meh and okay but mildly good games. And also, just give it a chance. I mean, you don't necessarily have to play the first game to play the second game, considering the only thing that carries over from the second game is Joker's little issue with the Titan formula. But I would still say play the first game, because even though it does beat the first game in almost every fucking way, the first game is still kind of... If you're a story guy, I would play the first game anyway. And the second game, Arkham City is fucking win on so many different levels. The only problems I can honestly give you for the second game is that it still has its graphical hiccups, and you have your minor control issues that barely pop up except for like maybe once in a while. Even though I still have that annoying problem where I'm between 2 fucking windows and there's a hole where I can usually drop down from, and I go into the crouch animation in the wall, climb up, down, crouch, go through the fucking hole. All in all, Batman Arkham City is a great game, and I would suggest getting it. Now, thank you for watching this video, and also, I have a special surprise, so we're going to cut off with this little section right here. Be back in a sec. Okay, so now due to some weird circumstances, I actually have 2 copies of the game. As you can see, this is the game I've been playing, and this is the game that's still in the wrapping, and has a little comic, and it's still in here. What I am proposing to do, giveaway time, folks. Once again, this is probably only going to be limited to the US just because I'm not good with, overline shipping. I have now reviewed the game. I've told you the game is awesome. I told you need to get the game. Now, when you subscribers get the game, all you have to do is comment below and tell me who's your favorite Batman character and why. That's all I want. And I will randomly pick the comments, and I will contact the winner, and you will get this game. It's that simple. I'm not going to make you subscribe. I'm not going to make you like. I'm not going to make you favorite. I just want you to comment in the comment section below and tell me what is your favorite Batman character and why. And you can choose any of the mythos. You can choose Batman from the animated series, this Batman. You can choose the freaking Batman Beyond series, any Batman. Just tell me who's your favorite character and why. Anyways, so good luck for this. This will be done probably 2 weeks. No, I'll say a week. A week from when I upload this video. And I will pick the winner and we'll be cool. So you have a week from essentially when this video is posted. And after that, I'll probably change the title to being like giveaway closed up here or whatever. And giving back to the community. I did a giveaway once, so do another one. So that is it for the Batman Arkham City review. Life's a game, play to win. This has been the Insane Game Freak. Hope you enjoyed. And as I said, comment in the comment section below. And I'll catch you guys later. Peace.